We have breaking news coming in from Kogi State. Let's bring in our correspondent, senior political correspondent, Ayo Delozubakun, to give us that report. Ayo, we understand there is breaking news in Kogi. What can you tell us?
Just some minutes before we reconvene for the collation that promised when they went on recess for 4 p.m., the Independent National Electoral Commission from the headquarters has just fixed the rerun election in Ogori-Magogo to 18th of November. And this will have far-reaching implications on the three other local governments they are about to collate now. Femi Akode, you want to tell us more about that release from the Independent National Electoral Commission?
Yes, Ayo, from the press release from INEC, they said they have received similar reports that, they talked about 4 local governments, that is Adavi, Ajaokuta, Okene, and Co. These local governments mentioned by INEC, what they are saying is that the results in this local government have been accounted for. So there's no cost. Yes, they are intact, so there's no cost to worry.
So they've released?
Yes. So, but that of Ogori-Magogo, where the result from 9 registration areas were not accounted for because the people did not vote after finding out that the result sheets have been pre-filled, so they did not vote. That voting will take place in those particular polling units on the 18th of November.
That is next Saturday.
Yeah, that's next Saturday. But there's also a clause here because these people, they will have to be given their franchise. But INEC is also saying that the decision to hold fresh elections in these particular places where they were disenfranchised is subject to the returning officer's determination of the application of the margin of lead principle. And then that that depends on the results here announced by
spectacularly what we are having here now from the results released so far. When you're talking about marginal of lead, that the returning officer is at liberty to return.
Yes, he is at liberty to return if the margin of lead is higher than the number of registered voters in these 9 polling units where election did not hold on Saturday.
The numerical strength of that polling unit, the registration words?
It's about 15,000 plus registered voters in these polling units. But now, if the returning officer here finds out that the margin of lead is higher than 15,000, then he's at liberty to declare a winner and return him as elected.
So let's play on mathematics a little bit. Yeah. From what we've seen so far, the margin of lead is definitely higher than 15,000.
Yeah,
so it behoves on the returning officer to use his discretion.
Indeed.
Now, the people from Ogori-Magogo, wouldn't they be disenfranchised?
Well, I think it's just for them to still go through that exercise because it's going to be comforting for them to be able to cast their ballot. They were deprived of that opportunity, having found out that the result sheets were pre-filled. So, but it's just to fulfill all righteousness for them to just go through that exercise, because at the end of the day, if the margin of lead is higher than the number of registered voters in that area, their votes will maybe just for records, it may not mean any difference in terms of determining or changing the optics as it currently stands.
We are looking at a very dicey situation here because the collation center was actually meant to reconvene by 7 p.m. Now, we have 3 local governments that we're expecting. And before we reconvened, 4 p.m., before we left, 4 p.m., we had this local government?
18 local governments so far. The results from 18 local governments have been announced, but they are waiting for results from Ibaji, Igalamela, and Odolu. If you look at the topography of Ibaji, it's a riverine area. We understand that the returning officer told us that the votes coming from Ibaji, the electoral officers are still traveling on water. So it's going to take them some time to travel on water to get to Ida before they come from Ida down to this place. So it's that travel time that he considered, and that's why he scheduled the reconvening of this whole collation for 7 p.m. before this breaking news came.
Now, the implication of this breaking news is that on the 18th of November, a kind of by-election is going to be held at Ogori-Magogo. And the implication is that 15,000 people will be able to exercise their franchise. Now, the national headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission, what they've said is that it's subject to the returning officer. It's going to be at the discretion of the returning officer. If the margin of lead, and mathematically from what I'm looking, the returning officer might decide to return tonight. If he doesn't return tonight, it's going to be after the 18th of November, Precious.
from the political parties on this?
The situation, this breaking news is just filtering in. Now the collation center is set for 7 p.m. as ordered, and those local governments, the electoral officers, they'll reel out the results and everything. But what we've seen, we've announced 18 local governments so far, and when we are talking about the margin of late, it's going to take a kind of miracle for these 3 local governments to surpass what we have on ground. But what we have on ground is going to be at the discretion of the returning officer. Is that to wait till the 18th of October before making a declaration, or is going to outrightly, because there's a clause. So the national headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission had given the passed back the responsibility to the returning officer now. So it's going to be at the discretion of the returning officer tonight. So we are going to wait till 7 p.m. When we wait till 7 p.m., when this seat will convey, they would have decided, what he's going to do. And looking at what is happening at the collation center, the national officers, the resident electoral officers, the party observers, security, they're arriving for the 7 o'clock meeting, and everybody is almost here. So we are going to get more on this breaking news. But the breaking news there is that those people that have been disenfranchised in Ogori Magogo, that the result was suspended. Some other areas like Obajano, Ajaokuta, those areas, the Independent National took a look at it, it's a second look at those results, and they were able to lift the embargo on those results. But the critical area now is Ogori Magogo.
Interesting development there in Kogi State, but I was listening to the conversation with you and